Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Your Number One Fan podcast. I'm your host, Kim Spencer, your number one fan. Episode topics will vary with the ultimate goal of providing the inspiration, encouragement, and tools for you to create your most authentic, happy life. I want this to be your weekly comfort podcast that also gives you a little kick in the butt to live your life to the fullest and not care what anybody says. Thank you for being here. Now let's get into the good stuff. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Your Number One Fan podcast. Today, I have Alex Piedmonte with, we are going to talk about motherhood. And she has a very interesting experience as she's a twin mom. And she's had a lot of experience as well with the postpartum anxiety, depression side of it. And we're going to dive into that. So if you have any, if you have any questions specifically about this, let me know, and I can reach out to her if we don't touch on it, because this is a very important conversation. So I'm very excited to just dive in, and I think this will help a lot of people, whether you're pregnant or hoping to be a mom one day. I want to be very honest, but I also want to kind of send some support resources, tools, and all of that good stuff. So again, we're going to dive into some pretty deep, pretty heavy topics. So if that's something you're not interested in, definitely take a break from this episode, but I think it's very helpful. So, okay, without any further ado, can you introduce yourself, Alex, and give us a little background of becoming a mom and finding out it was twins and all of the beginning of that?
Yeah, of course. So, hi, everybody. I'm Alex Piedmonte. So first-time mom, and was beyond excited to find out I was pregnant. My husband and I had been trying for a little while, and it was hard on me emotionally and mentally every time it didn't happen. And then seeing friends and family getting pregnant. But finally, when my time did come, I was over the moon excited. And part of me wanted to wait to tell my husband till, we had the first ultrasound. But there was no way I could keep it a secret, especially over the weekend. I found out on a Friday afternoon after work, and then immediately ran to the store and took another test just to make sure, and set up a cute little thing for him to tell him he was going to be a dad. Which looking back now, it said drink up dad, you're going to have a DD for the next 9 months. And it said love baby P. And when we went into the first ultrasound, I immediately knew that there was something different about my ultrasound. Because I've had them previously just to check out everything that was going on. And when I saw the 2 sacs, I was like, there's no way.
Oh my God.
And my doctor immediately started joking with us oh, we had a mom in here getting her checked out, and it was her first kid. And then, the dad was in complete shock and didn't believe us that it was twins. And we had to tell him once again, yes, it is twins. There's 2 in there. And the same thing kind of happened with, so John is my husband. Same thing happened with John. And he said, wait a second, there's 2 in there. Because I didn't make a sound. I didn't say anything. I just was soaking it in, and I was crying just from being happy, but also from the realization that there was 2. So anyway, after that, we went out to lunch, soak everything, and then, immediately told our family, there's 2 of them. And it was super exciting, but I decided then and there, I also needed to know what they were right away, because the twin surprise was enough.
Yeah.
So we also found out their genders beforehand. And it was, it's everything I've ever wanted. All of my dreams finally came true when I found out, and then carried them and have them and having them here now. So it's been a roller coaster, that's for sure.
Oh, I'm sure. Yes. And they're girls?
No, we have one son, Jackson, and then a daughter, Harper.
Oh, okay. Okay, yeah, I thought you had a girl. Yeah, well, congratulations again. I've seen all the TikToks of like the dads who are in the room and they're like, "No way!" Like, and I definitely understand what you mean by that. Like, just the tears come when I found out that I was pregnant. I cried, and it was like excitement, like shock. I was scared. I felt overwhelmed and like felt like a dream. So I can only imagine. I mean, and especially with twins, the sooner you tell people and you can get their support and help and whatever, like I'm sure that's important.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, like how do you even start preparing for twins?
So you can try to prepare as much as you want, but I mean, you're a first time mom too. You are never like, I don't feel like I was truly prepared until we brought them home. So, you get their nursery ready, which they didn't go into until 4 months anyway. We got the twin bassinet, we got like the twin pack and play. And then we just had to, a lot of the bigger things, luckily, we were able to do one because it had two sections. But then some other stuff we had to do like two of each, or so it was a lot. And my husband and I are both very blessed that everyone in our family gave gifts at our baby showers, have been helping since they've been born. And we have a really great community around us, helping us watch them, raise them. When I told my mom I was pregnant, she immediately, like, we discussed it and she said, I'm going to come up and help you out. Because being a new mom is difficult. And then, you have to take care of yourself, but you also have this little baby who's going to be your 24/7. And then with the twins, we're like, yeah, definitely gonna need as much help as we can get. So my mom actually ended up, her and my dad came up for the birth. I had a C-section and they were in the hospital with us. And then she came up to stay with us on and off from, I would say, like December 3rd all the way till February when Harper had hernia surgery. So she stayed up until then. And then John, he took paternity leave, which thankful that he was able to. I know that dads, even though they have that available to them, they don't always take advantage of it. Um, just because I guess for them it's like needing to be at work and doing something, but that bonding time is also so important for them. So when John said he wanted to, I said yes, absolutely. Like, I'm bonding with the kids, you need to bond with them. And um so then we went down to just the two of us being home with them, which was great. But when he went back to work, that's when stuff with me mentally started creeping up more, and I realized that I needed more help than what I was currently getting. Um, but I have my in-laws are here, that they come over whenever we ask them to, and people are always volunteering to help as well, which is really nice.
Mhm.
Definitely definitely takes a village to help you raise your child or children.
I I mean, I can't even say enough how much I cannot like imagine that. And I actually didn't realize that some dads didn't take their paternity leave. It seems like, yeah. So I was very fortunate too. My husband was able to take 3 months off. So that was like invaluable. But with twins, I just like I'm thinking of the feeding schedule, the sleep schedule, like the spit ups, like the crying. I that it just sounds so overwhelming. I'm so happy you have help and had help. I always thought about that. I'm like, I cannot imagine like not having anybody. That is just so shocking to me. So that kind of always grounded me, like realizing I do have help. But at the same time, you can't compare yourself to other people. Like just because somebody doesn't have a husband around doesn't mean that you don't have a, right to complain or be sad or upset or whatever. So did you ever have like mental health concerns before you were pregnant?
Um, I think I think I definitely did start having some concerns prior to my pregnancy. I was seeing a therapist prior to getting pregnant, and I think it was mostly because of I'm a teacher, and the things that I see started to weigh a little bit more on me. But also just the struggle of trying to get pregnant was also a lot for me, and trying to hold it in and be strong for I don't know what reason.
Yeah.
So I did end up getting help prior to the pregnancy. And my biggest concern was, is this going to also come up in postpartum? Because I know, well, I didn't actually know because I didn't have my kids yet, but I knew of friends who had kids that were very honest with me and said, it is hard. There are some days that you have to put your child in a safe place and you need to walk away to take a breather for yourself. Um, and when I found out it was two, I was extremely nervous of that anxiety. Like, I was more nervous about the anxiety and being a type A person and needing a routine and a schedule. And obviously, you can try your best to get a baby on a routine, um, but it's not set in stone. Like our feeding is typically the first feeding is typically like 6 to 6:30. But there are days where we had early morning risings, and the only way to get the kids to settle down would be to feed them early. And then that like throws me for a loop. And I didn't realize that them being slightly out of routine was actually triggering me to have a rougher day in a sense, and not getting on the right foot with them like would just lead to me getting more angry and feel not resentment, but feeling like this was a job that was too much for me to handle. Um, and then, of course, that guilt of like, I wanted this, I want them. They're amazing, but it's too much. So that was definitely a huge worry that I had. But I thought it was baby blues and it was just me trying to get into a routine and the hormones starting to settle more. And I didn't think anything of it. So when I finally did decide that I needed help, I was a little nervous to get it.
For anybody who like doesn't have a child, it's something that you don't realize. Like you hear the baby cries, you hear like it's a lot, like, but it's more than that. And I've always been pretty good with dealing with stress, and like I can take a breath and I can like get my head in the game a little bit, but it's like a completely different thing. It's like a different type of stimulus. I don't know how to explain it. It's like the whining is just as bad as the crying.
Oh
And then
no.
like when they don't like, oh my God, when they don't sleep, like, and you're exhausted, and it's not a resentment. Like I know what you mean by that. It's not a resentment, but it's like there's no break. I feel like in everything else in life you're like you have an out for a minute. And yeah, that's so important. That's what our pediatrician said. Like put him in a safe spot, or like just wear your headphones all day, like whatever you have to do. And that's why it's so individualized, like how you parent as well, because your kids are going to be different. And that's what I wanted to ask you too, like the differences between the twins, if there is a big difference. How you handle stress, if you have a partner, how they handle stress, how you guys handle it together. Like there's a lot to consider. So when we're talking about feeling overwhelmed, it's not just the crying, it's like the managing every second, worrying about if they're breathing, worrying about like if they're moving around now once they can start rolling. Like there's just a lot to balance. It's not just crying, and it could be crying the entire time you have all these other things. So again, two is wow, like all the credit to you. So you made a face when I said that about like the two being a little different. Are they different?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So from the beginning, we had a feeling that one of them was going to be a little bit more to handle. But we've talked to other parents who were twins. Actually, my sister-in-law's prom date is a twin, and my husband was talking to her I mean, his father, and they said, "You think you have your twins like